The moment is here, you can stop your search. It's Comics by Perch.
Hey everybody, this is Perch. I was talking to a friend last night. One of the nice parts about wrapping up the channel, or at least knowing the end is there, is like a switch kind of flipped in my mind a little bit. I didn't realize that switch was there. And I don't know if you guys have ever, had the same feeling and such, but, for the life of this channel, I mainly have come on and just talked about things every now and then, broke some news or kind of giving my perspective. And that was always what the show was. And I've said honestly, the subscriber count growth, all that stuff was never my intention or never really a goal. It was nice. It was surprising. And I was very humbled and it went from kind of, hey, wow, this is neat, to, wow, kind of a little, not ashamed, but very humbled by the growth, to, I don't even want to mention it now because it seems ridiculous to me that so many of you watch, but I appreciate it. I think over the years, plenty of people have come and taken shots at me, and that's for whatever reason, that's something that entertains them. I'm not talking about the people in the comments. I'm talking other channels. Most of it's fueled by a sense of jealousy, jealousy against a sub count that I've never cared about in the first place. But when I got it in my head, I'm like, yeah, this thing is winding down. We're almost over with the channel. I think I just started. I described it last night to the friend. I said, I just feel like my shows are more honest than they used to be, and it wasn't like I was, not telling the truth or telling my sense of before. It's just I don't need to say anything for the longevity. I can just say whatever I feel like and kind of wrap up a bunch of thoughts. And it's just, there's the sense of finality comes with truth and just my truth anyway. And it's been nice. It's getting some topics out, and the one from a couple weeks ago, I think I did a video on, maybe not everybody gets to make it. And it's stuff like that. Just, I don't know, feels better, but a little observation. Sorry for that little ramble there, but people still take shots at me. It's just, it feels more childish, or it feels more stupid now than it used to. And it always felt stupid. Now it feels really stupid. But yeah, it is what it is. This is a mail about house style. And house style is an interesting thing because, I believe a lot in the power of a brand. And when you're building something, particularly if it's a really big, project or a really big media property, it has to look and feel a certain way. Like I like stylistically Wes Anderson films. I like the way they look. The plot sometimes hit or miss. He's got a thing he does, but I like the look and the style. He cares about color and contrast, and there's a style to it. Same thing with David Lynch. I like their cinematography, what they do. But I wouldn't put either one of them on a James Bond film. It would look really unique and different, but it would not fit the brand. And so I think there's a place for everything. These people exist. It's not like all the movies made are James Bond movies, so it's not like they need to adapt to that. But I think that that's important. And I also think that in more recent years, there's been more of a desire to subvert the house style, if you will, or the brand. And I think what it does is it creates a jarring, subversion of expectations the first time they do it. Wow, I can't believe it looks like this. And then it erodes the brand for the future. It no longer feels as unique and special. It just feels like kind of a mishmash of anything else. And I think that ultimately does the brand harm. I think we've seen lots of examples of that. But we got a mail here. Let's read this. Asking a question about it. It says, "Hello, Perch. So I have a question. I'm going to use Liam Sharp as my example. I absolutely love Liam Sharp's art. Liam Sharp, by the way, also a really nice guy. Ran into him, have chats with him, and spent a decent amount of time with him on several shows, cons, and really just a nice dude. I mean, I haven't. If I say this, and somebody always comes out of the woodwork like I've had a experience. He's an asshole, but I've had a dozen or dozens of experiences with Liam Sharp, and long experiences, not like just 2 seconds in a line, but actually, chatting and getting to know him a little bit. And he's a good guy, like just a good guy. So anyway, put that as me. Back to mail. It says he's the type of artist whose art makes me feel like comics aren't almost worthy of him, like he should be off restoring some ancient tapestry instead. However, I just got done reading Starhinge. For the record, I like the book, although I think Liam could have used some brighter colors here and there. But I also kept thinking this art would never fly in a Superman book. But at the same time, I saw in his XO book, this seems to be the style he's happy with right now. And from memory, I think he played with it in Green Lantern Season 2, too. Season 2 as well. One of the more unsung roles in comics, I think, is art direction. Part of that means telling the artist no. And as hurtful as I'm sure it would be to hear, part of that would be, let's say, as hurtful as I'm sure that'd be to hear, part of that would mean telling an artist I suppose, devolve their art back to what it was. How do you think companies should balance this? If you get a Liam Sharp and he says, I'll do Spider-Man, but I want to draw it like Starhinge, what do you do? I like a good painted art comic from time to time, but I also think it just doesn't fit a standard superhero comic. For the record, I do think Liam would be smart enough to acknowledge when his art does and doesn't work, but I feel like some artists wouldn't. On the flip side, some editors probably ask for styles artists aren't comfortable with, and it ends up ruining the book. I don't really have a fully formed question, I guess, but I'd love to hear your thoughts. That was a fully formed question. It's a good question. Here's my opinion on it. I think everybody will differ because this is a subjective versus objective kind of point of view. I think that there is a style that is designed for a character. I think Superman should, there's a style range, art style range that should fit Superman. I don't think it should all look exactly the same, but I think there is art direction and guidelines around how the core title should work. And I used a lot of very specific words there. I think that, if I was, again, in charge of comics and kind of masterminding the whole thing, I would be looking at, my titles in kind of a couple different ways. I would say, okay, I'm going to have some ongoing titles, some month in, month out, monthly books. And I wouldn't have, I would also have some one-shots. I would have some limited series, just like they kind of have today. But for the ongoing books, there would be a very, somewhat specific art direction and range for what the art could look like. If you're Bill Sienkiewicz, for example, I would have you doing an annual for the X-Men versus the monthly X-Men title. Or if you're doing a dream sequence and you want to bring an artist in to do specifically that, great. If I was doing a horror imprint or a line, I would do that. I think that there's opportunities for everyone, but I would try and I think it doesn't benefit the artist or the comic if you're moving around. You got like Jim Lee, Liam Sharp, Jim Lee, and both doing their signature styles. It would hurt the title because it would feel jarring and off to the reader. And it would hurt Liam Sharp because people would say, whoa, what's this art? Why is this guy here? And I think you need to have some level of vague consistency for your monthly titles. However, I don't think every book in your lineup should be a monthly title. I think that you should have, again, annuals, one-shots, limited series, everything else. And I would love to see Liam Sharp Superman. I'll bet it would be pretty badass. I would do like they're doing with Christopher Priest right now with Superman Lost. I would do a 12-issue series with Liam Sharp. He would have plenty of work. And he would have nice prestige work because, we collect his stuff up, but it actually pays more respect to these artists who are, really detailed in what they do. A guy who we've interviewed on the channel, who I think the world of, Ben Templesmith, like, you should keep him busy doing a, 6-issue, Joker series or something that dives a little bit more into horror, or hell, in the same vein, why don't you put him on, John Constantine, or put him on a book that kind of delves more into the, horror magic aspects of that universe, something more uncomfortable. I mean, that's the kind of stuff you do. I think it would be, if you put Templesmith, I'm just pulling something out of the air, on, The Flash. I'd like to see it. I mean, he draws a good Flash. He draws, or has he drawn? I don't know if I've seen him draw the Flash, actually. I'm sure he has at some point. But if you've seen his Batman work, I like it. I like it immensely. But if you're going from a very comic booky style, you're going like Greg Capullo, and then suddenly you throw in a couple issues from Templesmith, and there you go back to Capullo, the readers are just not going to love that in the ongoing title. So again, do your company, do your sales, do him a favor, put him in things where, he could still draw that character for sure because he draws a great one, but set it up so that the run looks right from a collection standpoint. It again, that's my opinion. And I've talked to people, I've had customers. This is one where there's very firm opinions. There's people who will absolutely disagree with everything I just said. No, they like to have the comic shipped around. They like to have the comic, to get different styles. It's all part of the enjoyment of comics to get different things and to have some uniqueness to it. And okay, I mean, that's not a wrong opinion. If that's what you like, cool. I just think that one of the ways, at least I view comics, and in particular Marvel and DC or brands or corporate comics, is that they have a house style, kind of as you're identifying. They have that fits that book, that fits that character. And it's a reason, like, you see Green Lantern art pop up in in various T-shirts and posters and other licensed material, and you don't see Liam Sharp's version of it. You don't see them licensing that piece. The people in the licensing part, they know what they've got in their hands. They know the brand they're trying to portray and project and everything else, and so they don't put creators who don't fit that brand up when they're trying to license it and get mass appeal. Well, comic books should be thought of, at least in somewhat the same way, as an attempt to do that mass appeal. That's how comic books, that's how they make money. That's how it works. So, the idea of fooling around with your art style, I think, is detrimental. And again, I think it hurts the artist as much as anyone. To use your Liam Sharp example, you're going from kind of some slick and glossy, Green Lantern type work. Liam Sharp and Grant Morrison come on, and the title didn't sell anywhere close to as high as it should have, given Grant Morrison is a big name. Liam Sharp is an excellent artist. And, you kind of threw the two of them in out of nowhere on this book. And the marketing was strong for like the first issue, but then it kind of dropped off, like the company seemed to somewhat abandon it. And I think it did not set them up for success. So you just need to find a way to position it. So it's art direction for sure. I definitely think you should have it, but it's also like portfolio direction of, here's how we should treat our lineup like a portfolio of products and how we do all these things. So again, some of these artists who have unique styles, Simon Bisley, give Ben Templesmith, Liam Sharp for sure. I mean, Michael Mignola was a classic example of somebody who looked very, very different in his art. These artists found great success when they were paired up and put on the right projects that got showcase their abilities. And so, if an editor goes to an artist and say, hey, will you change your style around? Feels like that's something coming too late in the process. It feels like already the wrong decisions were made. If you're now coming in and you've got Liam Sharp on, I don't know, Wonder Woman, and that's a bad example actually, because his Wonder Woman, he is able to tap into some of the, the mythology elements and everything else. He's quite good on that. But again, that's a perfect example of where you'd have him on a 12-issue run where he gets to fully, blow it out and explore the mythology of Wonder Woman. And if you're going to have that character also, fighting, dark side and punching around with stuff, you need an artist that's maybe more traditional comic book friendly. Again, you can do two titles. We're publishing 80 books a month. You could do this. You have enough room in your portfolio to do it. But anyway, if an editor came to, that is a bad example. So we'll use the one from the mail. If the editor came to Liam Sharp, they picked Liam Sharp, they put him on Superman. He's on the monthly book. It's like, all right, we're going to be fighting Brainiac this art. And we're going to need you to draw Superman a little bit more glossy. We're going to need you to cut out a lot of the, we're going to need you to adhere strictly to kind of the anatomy of how the character typically look. Like, can you draw a little bit like, like John Byrne? Can you just draw a little bit more like that? If I was Liam Sharp, I'd be like, fuck you. I'd be, at that point, I'd be pretty pissed because you hired me. You know what I do, clearly. Why would you put me in the position where now you need me to change my style? It's just as absurd. So anyway, that's my take on it. What do you think? Like I said, I think we'll get some people who have some very different opinions in the comments, and that's okay too. It really is a personal choice here. But what do you think? Let me know in the comments below. Like and subscribe, of course. And thanks for listening.